Hey guys, Alpha from Alpha Animations, and this will be the next part in my rigging tutorial. Now, you may have noticed in the last part, I'd only done one set of fingers and hadn't removed the actions. So, yeah, we're just gonna do that now. So, basically what you want to do, open up a new window. Oh, hang on just a sec, I'll turn on screencast, because someone complained about that last time, so yeah. Then you're going to convert it to from dope sheet over here to action editor, and you're basically going to see a ton of keyframes, and you want to scroll across until you see the action icon and as a drop down. Now it's going to say there are 25 users. That means that you are looking at it now and 24 bones are using it for like the action constraints and stuff. So you want to name this fingers, and then you want to click this if. That basically means that even though there are 25 users and this won't be deleted, you're creating a safeguard just in case it does, like just in case something stuffs up and Blender decides that there aren't 24 users. So now you can just change it. Sorry, no, you can't change it. You have to create a new action, and then this action can be named whatever you like. Although, for some reason, I think I might have duplicated the old one. Yeah, create a new action, completely new one, and call it, well, yeah, just leave it as action then. And just so that this one like gets saved or whatever, and nah, just leave it. Okay, so that's just pretty much the last step you want to do with that. Now, I said we were going to do a hat slot, so let's click the head, move it into select mode, tab into edit mode, select one of the faces, anyone, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do this one, and then P, separate by selection. Now you're just going to name this hat, and that's going to be our hat slot. Now your rig is going to have, like I'm going to show you this in the UV image editor, it's going to have a transparent hat slot here, or else it won't work. But yeah, if you have a skin that works the same way as this, yeah, you'll be cool. So basically what we want is we want the skin to correctly show all of these and all of those, and not show the transparency. And we want it so that when you look up here, you'll see like a border. Now we could do that by using one large plane here, but what if someone changes skins? Then it's not going to work anymore. So the way to do this is you extrude this to make one individual like cube, and you'll essentially do this for all of them. And it doesn't matter how big the cube is, it just depends on your personal preference. Like, that to me seems a reasonable size. And then you're going to tab into edit mode, and this cube is going to be over here. So you're going to move it onto here, where you need it. And now, because there's these bits here, there's edges that run along here. So if I just select one of these, there's an edge there. Now, when we start getting to the transparent regions, edges like that are going to stuff up. So we're just going to scale this down to 0, and then when we hit transparent regions and stuff, little things like that aren't going to stuff up. So you'll just duplicate this and move this 1 pixel. Then you'll select both, duplicate that, shift duplicate them, and move them 2 pixels. You can kind of see where this is going, probably. Duplicate those, and move them 4 pixels. Now as you can see, we've pretty much got the top done, so now you can do the same to the sides, and then Y -1, AA, shift duplicate. You'll notice as I'm moving them, I'm holding Control to snap, and you may also notice that here they're starting to display black and red. Now that's because transparency works by displaying the original transparency. So if I go into textured mode, the transparency you'll see is of course messed up because we haven't enabled transparency in our skin. But if we do, set the transparency to 0, everything will disappear. Then we go into the skin properties and tick the alpha, and that essentially means that all of these are going to be transparent and none of them will be seen. And if Control Z, and if you just select everything, duplicate it down, and G continue, you'll notice that we now have an adaptive hat slot. Now of course it's not going to work when you're in solid display mode, so I just tend to keep it, I just tend to hide it with the visibility check when I'm not using it, because it just is a whole lot easier. So now we're just going to duplicate it across to this side of the mesh. Yep, and once we got it there, then we'll just move this over to the other side, and then we can duplicate these and rotate them around the Z-axis. They'll be a little bit harder. Maybe we can, yep. And then we can just move them back, and we've got all the sides done. No, you want to keep those selected, and then you're going to duplicate those and rotate them up and round to the top. Now just grab this one and move it over to here. Now the trouble is we're not going to know exactly which side is the front, so if we go and pull that up, then all of those transparent ones, they're at the back of the skin. So we need to rotate this around to about here, I'd say. Nope. Rotate it around another 180 degrees. So we should have rotated it back, but yeah, you probably get it. And now we've got an adaptive hat slot. And yeah, you'll just move all of these ones over to here. Best way to select these is with border select, because quite obviously they're a square and that makes it easy. Now if you tab into object mode, you'll notice it's quite edgy and there's a lot of corners. So what I normally do is I normally just add some drivers that adjust this, because like in some cases when doing here you're going to want this, but in other cases, like for example if you're doing I don't know, like an Assassin's Creed one, then this isn't going to be any good. We stuffed up one of the sides here. So we need to tab into edit mode, UV image editor, because if you'll notice the hair's backwards on that. And then very carefully border select this area, and then scale it along X -1. There we go, that's fixed. Perfect. Now we got the UV mapping correct. There's no real way to tell if you've got the UV mapping on this bottom bit correct until you actually test it out with a different skin, but for the sake of time I'm just going to assume it is correct. And yeah, so I just normally add a driver which allows me to, well the best way to do this is to just use the same ones you've got, and in the driver you just go up to the top, pull them forward. Pull them forward. Now, assuming this was an Assassin's Creed skin, you'd want these pulled kind of forward to make the hood, and you'd probably not want the top pulled forward, or the back, but you would want the bottom pulled forward. So we'd go into side 3, C, and pull that forward. And you can do that, and yeah, and then you can just add drivers for any other sides you want to pull forward and customize it however you like. I like this because, yeah, as I said, it's really customizable. Okay, now we're done with the hat slot. I should, well, let's see, I got 15 minutes to work. Well, like, till I have to leave for work. So we could do, yeah, okay, let's do the IK now. So, for this one, first you're going to check that it is not, this bone here, that it is not connected. Because our IK wants to go to the arm, not the wrist, because otherwise it's a 3-bone chain and it makes the rotation hard to manipulate. So what you're going to do is you're just going to deselect the connected and then tab back in, oh no, you've got to do it on the other one as well. Also deselect this connected, tab, no, yeah. You've got to stay in edit mode. You'll duplicate this bone because this is in the right kind of location, and all you're going to do is remove the parent. And now we're going to be doing this one with the same kind of IK that Happy Gleason used, because his is a whole lot more sensitive. So it's going to look a bit goofy, but bear with me. So you're going to move this forward like a little bit. It doesn't have to be much, but yeah, because this is going to be our IK bone. So if we go hand and rename this to hand IK.right, and then what we got to do is essentially we want this bone pointed slightly forward, because then if there's a slight bend in this, then it goes, oh, hang on, the armature goes, oh, hang on, I'm slightly bended. This is the direction I need to bend, and it just makes the bending process a whole lot simpler. So if we also shift duplicate this, move it forward like 0.1, you don't want to do it too much or everyone's going to go, oh, your rig's stuffed. When it's not actually, it's actually far better this way. And then just pull that forward. And rename the bone, like if you're bothering with bone names. I always do. And it doesn't seem to slow me down much. Now just add in IK constraint, target to armature, bone, hand, IK.left. And as you'll see, we need to adjust this. We need to set the chain length to 2, and in the IK bone, we forgot to clear the parent. So you can just remove that. Did I clear it? No, I cleared it on the wrong one. Control Z. So make sure you have selected the hand IK, clear the parent on that. And now it works properly. Doesn't work correctly if you don't clear the parent. Now, you'll also notice if we're pulling it to the side, that doesn't look too good. So, instead of adding a limit rotation modifier, as some people will tell you, we're just going to whack on this limit the X, and then we're just going to completely lock the Y and Z. And the limits for the X we're going to apply will be, well, we'll set this one to 0 because we don't want it rotating forward in that direction at all, but we do want it going back 90 degrees, so just set that to 90 degrees. So now, when we pull this up, it's not going to work because we don't have any pole yet. Well, that's okay, because we can add that now. So if we tab into edit mode, go over to here, shift duplicate, and that's a good enough place as any for a pole. Just set it however big you want it, and pole dot left. And then if we just set the target armature and pole as and pole. Now you're going to notice the rotation's going to stuff up when we do this, and that's because you haven't set a pole angle, which basically whenever you try and do poles, it's always going to orientate itself in some rather random direction. So then you just got to set the pole angle so that it counteracts that. And I think I may have set the IK limit on this bone in the wrong direction. So it's trying to bend backwards, but it can't because I've set the bend slightly forwards. So if we set this one to 0 and this one to -90, then see what we get. See, that's the bend we were looking for. So if we pull this up, we got a nice sharp IK bend. Just what we want. Okay, you can probably apply the same procedure to that arm with the IK constraint. Actually, if we tab into edit mode, duplicate this across to here, armature, foot name. I'm just going to see if I can do this as fast as possible with no explanation, because I gotta leave for work in 5 minutes. Okay, this one was the IK. We needed to check no parent. Good, no parent. We also needed to go into constraints and add one to the spone. Inverse kinematics, target, armature, hand, IK. It's not dot left, it's dot right. And we also need to set the chain length to 2. Because otherwise it's going to try and go all the way back through the chain to this base bone here. Next thing we need to do is we need to add the pole. Armature, pole, misspell, pole dot right. Is that correct? Yeah, this is the right side. So let's see. Nope, wrong way. We want to rotate it around this way. Yep, 90 degrees. You can hold control when doing that and it'll snap to 90 degrees, or you can just type it out. Okay. So if we just do that, then we're pretty good. That is unusual. But I know why it's doing it, so we can fix it. I think somehow in the driver I've told it that when this bends you need to pull up, which obviously isn't right, so you may be encountering the same problem. Let's go into here and tab in, and ooh, that's really stuffed. Like, that's not right at all. So yeah, it's one thing to build a good rig, it's another thing to troubleshoot it and say, oh hey, I've stuffed this up and I'm going to fix it. And you'll notice the poles are now really good and they'll adjust like that. I haven't quite figured out a way to attach them to the elbow so that they'll always follow and not glitch, but I'll figure that out and try and include it in the next tutorial. Now if you just apply the same technique to the legs, so like just tab into edit mode, the only difference with the legs is you've got to pull them back instead of forward, so I'm going to pull them back, then just extrude 2 bones. Actually, we don't want to. Oh well. Call this bone foot IK dot, that's not left, that's right. Oh, another thing is, if you turn off the deform on your IK, it means that if you later need to parent anything to the mesh, then it's not going to be giving any weight to the IK, so you're not going to have to clear that from your constraints. So, I don't know. I just think it's like a nice general housekeeping tip. So, duplicate this across to the other side. Armature, flip names, go into 3, shift duplicate up to there. Probably out to there. Now, we're not going to do much with the IK at the moment because we're going to do fancy feet, but you know what? Let's just finish the feet in the next episode because I got to go for work and fancy feet is going to take a whole lot longer. So, see you all next time.